Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from TriStar Gold, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol TSG and on the OTCQX under the symbol TSGZF. I am chatting with the president and CEO, Nick Appleyard. Now, TriStar Gold focused at the Castelo de Sonhos Project in Brazil. This project already is at the PFS stage. The project has about 2.5 million ounces of gold. This includes about 1.5 million ounces just in reserve grade for gold. Now, Nick, I wanted to follow up with you because on January 11th, the company sent out a broad news release, a corporate update, bringing everybody up to speed on really what the corporate focus is for this project and what still needs to be done to continue to advance this already pretty well-defined asset. A lot seems to be focused on government relations and environmental permitting. Let's start there. Let's focus here. Take us through this permitting process, where the company is currently, please.
Hey, Corey, thanks for having me on again. Yeah, no, I'd love to. We got that press release out, and hopefully it will help guide people and understand what myself and my team are doing every day. And as you say, 90% plus of our time is put into acquiring these permits, and the social license to operate. So with the government relations, environmental permitting that we're working on, we have a team dedicated now who are meeting frequently with the state authorities. One of the benefits of being in Brazil, where we are, and in Pará, a major mining state, is that everything is done in the state. Nothing's done at the federal level. So, we know all the people involved, and we're getting very, very good engagement from them. The next major milestone we expect to achieve will be the state authorities all visiting the site, doing their review of the site. And that is scheduled to happen right now in March, so quite soon.
Now, what about this whole process then? Can you give us a timeline on when you think a permit could be granted? What work still needs to be done? How many different levels do you need to go through?
Yeah, this is mainly with SEMAS, the state environmental agency that we're working with here, for the LP, the prior license, which is really the approval of your EIA, which states that yes, that project, that mine, process facility, tailings facility will work environmentally in this location. So that's the permit we're after. It's the first permit they give you in Brazil. Yeah, so the timelines we're facing, the first big issue that has to happen is the site visit from them, which, as I said, it should happen in March. The next major milestone after that will be the public meetings, which they've approved for us to hold in the village of Castelo de Sonhos. When they come down in March, they will tell us the exact date of when they want us to hold that meeting, important data they want us to tell the public through that meeting, and they will arrange it with us giving logistical support. Hopefully that meeting will take place in sort of May, June time, although obviously we haven't got the date until they visit and give it to us. And then really following that, it's the feedback from that meeting which goes into their final appraisal. They're already reviewing our EIA, should be, as we speak now, and then issue their thoughts, the prior license, within a month or 2 months following that meeting, so in Q3 this year. Best information we have right now and what we're passing on to the public.
Now, are there any major risks that you foresee that you are planning for? Anything that you've seen maybe other companies have trouble with within Brazil, or just anything that we should, as investors, be aware of?
I mean, we've done a review of this process that other companies have gone through, and most of it's public record. So we've looked at it where everyone else may have made mistakes or been pulled up by the authorities. We've tried to cover off as much as we could of that. In late November, we hired an ex-government environmental permitter to come and do like an audit, come in as if he was still a permitter and tell us exactly what he would see and what we needed to fix. So we had that done, and we're fixing all of those issues. Nothing major came out of it at all. A lot of minor stuff that we thought they wouldn't look at because it was too small, but we're doing all that work cleaning up things like car wash bays and stuff. Make sure even on an exploration site, those are all at the highest possible standards. So we don't anticipate those issues. We know they're going to come back and ask about archaeology, well, they want more detail on that for the next phase before they'll approve a build of the operation. We know they'll want more detail on the caves, because they always do. So those advanced studies on that, which will not hold up this license. They'll still issue this license, but they'll with some caveats saying, oh, you need to do these few things. So that work has already started, or is being bid to be started now. So we get ahead of the curve. So we really don't see at this time any major red flags coming out of it at all. It's a good site to build a mine on, and the issues we know about aren't serious. And again, we're trying to get ahead of the curve on them.
Now, what about community engagement? It's always one thing we need to touch on when you're going through permitting, because communities, they can be supportive and really help advance permitting, but they can also be a headwind, if not even worse, a wall that companies can come across. Where does the company stand in your community engagement?
Yeah, no, we always take the approach that if you have the community on your side, you'll get your permits, and if you have them against you, you basically won't. And then frequently it won't be, oh, the community doesn't want you. They'll just find some reason not to have you there. So community engagement is critical. So we have a team working on that, obviously as transparently as possible, to discuss the project with all of the actors in the area. And that also feeds into we were going to have this public meeting in sort of May, where you give a presentation to the whole community. It's probably broadcast online to certain people as well who can't make it to the meeting in person. We will have experts there to answer any of their questions. But in reality, you want to make sure you've answered their questions ahead of time. It's sort of like the lawyers going to court. They never want to ask a question if they don't know the answer already. We want to make sure that we've discussed this project with all of the people in the region well ahead of time, so they're very comfortable with it. They're comfortable with the team. And they know what's going to come in, and they know what's going to be built at site, and they know how the benefit might be shared around the community.
So from a corporate level then, Nick, is the company looking for a partner to help build this asset? Are you looking for someone to simply take you over? Do you think the company can do it yourself?
I'll answer the last bit first. The answer is yes, we can do it ourselves if that's what's needed, and that's the trajectory we're on right now. We've just hired Marcus, a brilliant COO, a brilliant hire that we're super happy with, who's, was managing, was the general manager of big paleoplacer mines in West Africa. Perfect person, speaks Portuguese, to put this into operations and operate a big paleoplacer here in Brazil. So we can do it ourselves. We have that trajectory marked out. If we get a better option than that for our shareholders, we would take it. So, everything's on the table, and it's just whatever works out best for the shareholders. I think there's some logic in it that the best option for the shareholders could be if someone comes in and helps us shares the risk with us of getting it over that hurdle of into operations. We'll definitely be looking at that, but as we're looking at that, we'll be taking it forward ourselves.
Now, on a drilling front, is there any exploration drilling that needs to be done? Is there any de-risking in terms of infill drilling, or any drilling that's needed for any of the environmental work? What's the landscape on the drilling front for the company this year?
Yeah, there is. There's plenty of exploration that can be done. There's a lot more exploration there, that's going to be done over the next ongoing years. It's going to be an operation, an exploration will be going for the next 10 years, I think, easily. As far as to advance the project, critical timeline drilling, as part of any, pre-construction, we're going to need to do more, probably a little bit more condemnation drilling. We did a little bit recently. We're going to need to do more just to make sure we're not putting a major facility on top of an ore body. There needs to be a bit more geotech drilling done in the pits. And then, some infill drilling. There's probably a significant amount of infill drilling to be done before you sort of go to spend that large amount of money to build the operation. But that can come over the next 2 years, next year and a half, so to speak.
Okay. Well, Nick, I guess that pretty much covers it all here. A lot is focused on permitting, but hey, in an environment where it's still relatively difficult for companies to raise money, at least permitting doesn't cost nearly as much as drilling, right? So, as we get more news on that whole process, and if anybody wants some more, or if anybody has some questions about this permitting process, and they want Nick to address those, please email me, fleck@kereport.com. I'll have Nick address those, and I'll follow up as some more news, especially on the permitting front, hits the market. Nick, thank you for this update. Please keep me up to date on future news.
Thank you very much for having me on.